Katrina here, and welcome to another video from Math Unlocked. Last time we discussed how to factor a simple quadratic equation that had the form x squared plus bx plus c. In this case, our leading coefficient just equal to 1. That allowed us to do a more simple approach. Today, however, we're going to look at those pesky cases where our leading coefficient is not 1 and instead it's another number. These cases look like ax squared plus bx plus c. But don't worry, today we're going to go through a full example that will show you how to do this and will show you just how easy and fast factoring can be. Okay, let's dive in. Let's start with an example. We have negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 6 equals to 0. So when you're starting a problem like this, always look at what is your leading coefficient. Here it is negative 2, so we can't use the same trick that we did in last video. So let's learn a new trick today. The first thing that I want you to do is multiply your leading coefficient by your constant value. That means that we have negative 2 multiplied by negative 6. This equals to 12. The second number that we are going to look at is our middle number, our b value, and that equals to 8. Now, in order for this factoring trick to work, we have to look for two numbers that multiply to 12 and also add to 8. So let's start by looking at all the factors of 12. So we want two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 8. So 12, we have 1 and 12. We have 3 and 4. And we have 2 and 6. Since this is a positive number, that means that we can also have the negative of all these as well. So we could have negative 1, negative 12, negative 3, negative 4, and we can also have negative 2 and negative 6. So now we want to go through all of these and see if any of these 2 will also add to 8. 1 and 12 doesn't work. 3 and 4 doesn't work, but 2 and 6 works. We can see that 2 plus 6 equals to 8, and 2 times 6 equals to 12. Amazing. Now we can go forward. So in order to solve this problem, what we have to do is we need to decompose this middle term over here into two terms using our two numbers that we found. So let's look what that looks like. So we've got our negative 2x squared. Now we're going to decompose this into our two values. So plus 2x plus 6x. So 8x equals to 2x plus 6x. And then we keep our negative 6 equals to 0. So the next step that we have to do is we have to put brackets around our first two terms and then around our second two terms. Now we want to see what number can we factor out from both of these terms. So let's look at this one first. We can factor out a negative 2 and an x. And what does that leave us with? It leaves us with x minus 1. And now let's look at our second term. What can we factor out over here? We can factor out a 6. So now we have x minus 1. And what does that equal? That still equals to 0. So now what we have to do, we ended up with the same number inside both of these brackets. That's awesome. That means that we can factor out that whole term and bring it to the front. So now we're going to have x minus 1 out front, And then we have to collect our terms that are left. So what do we have left over here? We see that we have negative 2x and 6. So we're just going to add those together. So we have negative 2x plus 6, and that equals to 0. And there you have it. You factored the whole equation, and now you have it in an easy to read, two-termed factored form equation. This is great for looking for the roots of these numbers, and we'll explore that in later videos. Did this help you with factoring? If it did, drop a yes in the comments, and please subscribe to follow more fun math videos. If you have any further questions, please write it in the comments and I'd be happy to answer. See you next time. Bye now.